So wait, you mean to tell me after 3 months of working and no college background, a white girl gets hired into the company, and me on the other end with 2 college degrees and been with the company for 8 months, still working as a temp? My very first temp job was in Bama, and I was so happy because it was the most money that I was making at that time. I had just recently graduated from college, and I was just trying to find my perfect career. I got a phone call from a temp agency about a county position to work in purchasing, and I took it. A few months working in the purchasing department, I found out that they hired a girl permanently and was planning on moving into a new building and had absolutely no plans on taking me with them. So the accounts receivable department decided to pick me up after their employee came in yelling at me in regards to some invoices and ended up firing her because of it. Months passed and they had another position open up in accounts payable. So I was offered a position in accounts payable with the promise of being hired on permanently. So of course, I took it. A few months went on and everything was going perfectly fine. It was a girl there that trained me. And during her training, I told her, wow, that was easy. The next day, she ignored me, and days after that, she was just being very rude. It was to the point where she was snatching papers out of my hand, wouldn't talk to me. When I asked for help, she would just ignore me. Until one day I got called into the office and our accounting manager told me that I was being disrespectful to her. And I told him I had no clue what he could possibly be talking about. So he called her into the office and she blurted out that I told her her job was easy. And I told her, no. Your method of showing me how to do this process was easy. You showed me an easier way on how to do a process, which I told you was easy. I was giving you a compliment. Needless to say, they found another woman and hired her on permanently, and I was let go. But I was still grateful because it landed me in a much better position. I ended up moving to GA and was making $10 more than what that company was paying me. So for me, it was a win-win. So I thought. And that's when I entered the cycle of temping. With each new offer that I accepted, the pay went up, but the discrimination and prejudice also increased. My second temp job that I accepted was about 30 to 35-minute drive from my home, but it was the most that I had ever been paid in any job that I've worked. I had a pretty good relationship with my accounting supervisor. He told me that my processing skills was by far the best that he has ever come across, and he had been in the business for about 8 or 9 years at that time. About 7 or 8 months working in the company, I kept hearing over and over and over how I was going to be brought on permanently, just to be patient until a position opened up. About 7 or 8 months in working at this in particular company, he brought on a girl that he knew from a previous company that they both worked at together. She's just quit that job and he gave her the opportunity to come aboard. Nevertheless, she graduated high school but never went to college and had about a year of experience, about a year shy from my accounting experience. About 3 months in of her working there, I found out that she was hired on permanently. And it just didn't make any sense to me. I mean, I was educated, I had the skills and the experience, and I had glowing reviews from all the managers in the company. But a white girl comes along with no education and less experience than me, gets hired on permanently. It just didn't make any sense. And I realized I was fighting a losing battle. You know, after doing my research, I found out that Black women were the highest educated in the world, but are paid less than their co-workers. And then that's when I learned the cycle of temping. You see, temp agencies get paid for each body that they put in a company, and the companies don't have to bear the responsibilities like 401ks, benefits, health insurance, or taxes that they have to pay for permanent employees. They pay a monthly fee to the staffing agencies, and the staffing agencies bank thousands of dollars off of each person. So let me give you an example. In 1 week, the staffing agency made $1,000 off me working 40 hours in a week. Now, if you pay attention to the fine print, anytime that you go through a staffing agency, the staffing agency will promise you a permanent position as long as you stay with the company for a certain amount of time and do exactly what they tell you to do, which means no complaining about unfair treatment, taking whatever crap that they throw at you, and dealing with the most undesirable situations. Now, like most people working in corporate America, they want the permanent position. They want the time off, 401k, insurance, paid sick leave, paid vacation time. Who does not want these benefits? So staffing agencies, knowing this, they give you this false perception that you are going to land you a permanent position if you put in a certain amount of time. Now, if you read the fine print on most of the temping contracts that you sign, you'll see that the company, if they really want you, have to buy you out. So if you're working for a company, you will have to work a certain amount of hours, which is over a year, or the company has to buy you out at more than $4,000 to $5,000. Now, for the companies, they don't have to assume any responsibility when it comes to you, and they can fire you for any reason whatsoever. In most states, they have the at will, which means they can fire you at will for any reason whatsoever. You have to understand that the only way that temp agencies make money is if you continue to work under their temping agency. That's the only way they make money. If they actually helped you find a job, if they actually got you a permanent position, then they don't get an hourly rate off of you anymore. Remember, for every hour that you work, they make money off of that. But if you get hired into the company, that's no money for them. That's no moolah for them. So they are designed to keep you in this revolving door, in this cycle of temping without any benefits whatsoever. And if you want benefits, of course, you have to pay high premium prices through some BS company that they hired for you to have medical assistance. Half of the time, it doesn't even cover half of the needs that these people need. Half of the people that I know that were temping have children, which the insurance that they sign up for takes half of the checks and doesn't cover nearly anything that they need for their children. My experience as working as a temp, I've dealt with discrimination in unfavorable situations. But because you're a temp, you have no say-so in anything. I've been told at parties at work that temps weren't allowed to go into a break room, that temps weren't allowed to go into certain bathrooms because we're temps. I've had people sit in my face and tell customers, oh, she's a temp, oh, she's just a temp. They treat temps as if they are less than. They belittle temps, belittle us to the point that we can't even eat the food that's in the break room because we're temps. And don't let there be any issues or problems, because the moment that you speak on any issues or unfair treatment within the company, you let go just like that. You have to remember that you're just a number in a paycheck to the staffing agency, and you're just a number in a body in a chair to the company. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about anything that you go through. And they do not care about their staff mistreating you or treating you unfairly. And the irony about everything is that every single woman and male that I have temped with were all overly qualified for the crappy positions that we were put in. But because you're a temp, you are forced to take less pay versus if you were permanent. I met a woman who temped with me who I'm still friends with to this day, and she holds a master's degree, but she had been overlooked by her white counterpartners. And don't get me wrong, it's even our own people who I've had deny me a permanent position. I worked for a company who my supervisor was a black man. And he will always talk about the women who came into work with natural hair. stating that it was unprofessional to come into work with natural hair, as if we have control over the hair that naturally grows from our scalp. I worked for a company where my supervisor was a black woman, educated, had her stuff together, but for some odd reason, she just would never give me a chance. She would always come up with the excuse, oh, I hired another black girl and she was just unprofessional. And I would ask her almost every week, is there something I'm doing wrong? Is there something that I can do better? Please critique me and let me know, because I really want a permanent position. I really want the benefits. Every time it was an excuse after an excuse after an excuse. And I just had to come to the realization that she just did not want to hook a sister up. I had the education, I had the skills, I had no complaints. I just could not understand, what was it? I even had her tell me, well, you're still young, and we don't really have any young people here that's working. And I still had a lot of jobs that I needed to work. You know, with every position, the money got better and better to the point I was making close to $30 an hour. But I still was overlooked. I was in this revolving door of no stability. Not knowing if a company is going to close, not knowing if a company is going to hire me, not knowing if a company is going to let me go. I worked for a company where I came into work and every single temp was let go for no reason whatsoever other than they didn't need us to fill that position anymore. Talk about the stress of being a temp, not only being discriminated against, treated unfairly, and being disrespected, but at a moment's time, you could lose your position and your source of income to pay your bills. For years, I felt it in my spirit that this was not the path that God wanted me on. And position after position, even though my pay would increase and I would gain more experience, I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel happy. I just felt like I was going to work and punching a clock. I just felt like I was just another number to another temp agency who was just banking off of me not getting hired in permanently. After a temp agency let every single temp go within the company for no reason whatsoever, I was just fed up with the whole temping, with the whole false promising that I was going to be hired into a company if I just give them a year of my time and I had the possibility of being hired on permanently. And even though deep down in my spirit, I felt like this was not the path that God wanted me to be on, I kept doing it because the money was good. The money kept increasing. But I just was not happy. For some, that may seem like an easy job, but I'm investing 8 hours a day of my life to a company that just views me as a number. I'm giving 8 hours of my life every day. I am giving 40 plus hours to a company that doesn't even care, that will replace me in a heartbeat. I wasn't investing any of my time in anything that made me happy besides getting up and going to work and coming back home and getting ready to go back to work the next day. Yes, the money was great. It paid all my bills. It paid for all my lavish trips. It got me to good places and it helped me to meet some really good people. But I looked at all that time wasted working for a company who views me as a number, when I could have been taking that time and investing it into my own business. Don't get me wrong. Accounting has taught me how to balance the books within my own company. It has taught me skills that I may not have been able to learn without going through those different jobs. You know, I was just so stressed out and so worried about if I'm going to be let go, what's going to happen next. And I just gave all my worries to God. And I was like, God, I know this is not the path that you want me on, but I don't know what else it is that I need to do. You know, with all my worrying and all my stress about these positions, I had to sit down and just have a heart-to-heart with God. And God spoke to my heart and told me, you keep taking these positions that I told you to stop taking. You're investing 60 to 70 hours a week into these companies. And it's taking away the time with me. See, when I got off of work, I would be so drained that I didn't want to do nothing but take a shower and go to sleep. Working 10 to 12 hours in a day every day really took a lot from me. I took time to pray and I took time to fast. God showed me that I chose the mighty dollar over following my dreams. And I didn't follow my dreams because it didn't pay as much as these dead-end jobs that were getting me nowhere. So after my fast, I received a phone call in regards to a staffing position. And of course, I wanted to take it. I needed the money. God continued to open my eyes and show me the processes that I was going through. Going to the staffing agency, take a drug test, give them references so they can call the references and bug them to death. I had one of my references send me an email and say, please do not use me as a reference, because the staffing agent called me 5 times in one day. I even had this same lady contact me and tell my reference to call her back. Like, get a life. People have to work. A never-ending cycle of the harassing of references, the never-ending cycle of the promises that you're going to get a permanent position, the never-ending cycle of being treated unfairly in these companies with no benefits. I was just fed up with the whole temping saga. And I gave it all to God and I said, you know what, God? You got this. I'm not going to sit here and worry about this anymore. You've already told me this is not the path that you want me to go down. So now it's time for a change. We have to remember that God is our provider. No matter what we plan, God's plan for us is way bigger. Just like God kept telling me, this is not the path. This is not what I want you to do. And I kept doing it. It brings me back to the story of Moses when he kept running from God. And it took him to his 80s for him to get in God's purpose for his life. And I told God, hey, I ain't trying to sabotage myself for that long. So let's get it together right now. No matter your fears or your setbacks, when God says no, it's no. And I took God's no as yes. And that led me to very many financial hardships. At some point in all of our lives, we have to trust God's plans for our lives. I had to come to the realization that God's plan for me was the best plan for me. And that God got me, just like he got you. God is our homie. The one that's been there since day one, and the one that's going to be there with you until the end. The one that would never turn his back on you. The one that's going to be your thickest thieves. The one that when you are down and out and you need someone is going to be there for you. The one that's been there since day one, that knows every single thing about you and knows exactly what to do to get you right. God's plan is the right way. Why not take it? Why keep staying at a job and suffering? Why keep staying in a job that doesn't value you? Just a slave for $40,000 to $50,000 to $60,000 a year. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that there are people who need the money. I get it. For every single temp job that I lost, I picked up another one just like that. So I get it. Bills got to be paid. Children got to be fed. Clothes got to be on your back. And a roof needs to stay over your head constantly. I get it. But at what price are you paying? What havoc are you wreaking on your health due to a job that you are suffering at? Why continue to shortchange yourself? Why not get into your destiny, your purpose? Why not get into something that you love doing? Now, don't get me wrong. At this very moment, I am working in my passion. I am working in things that I love doing. It ain't easy. Trust me, it's not. There are days where I'm like, I'm not finna do this. I don't feel like doing this. But see, then I think about those 60, 70 hours that I put into a company for a check. So why not take those 60, 70 plus hours that you're putting into a company that does not value you and put that time into yourself? Why not take that time and put it into your passion? Something that's going to change the world. Something that's going to change you. Something that's going to benefit your family for generations and generations to come. But no, you want to invest this time into a company that don't care about you. Because if something happens to you, that spot that you're in is going to be replaced in a heartbeat. Do yourself and your future self a favor and let God take control. The moment that I released and let God take over my stress, my frustrations, my financial worries, is when I started to reap the harvest that was mine. It was there for me all along, but I had to trust that God had me instead of me always relying on me having me. Today, right now, spend some time with God and trust that it's going to get better. Today, right now, trust that God got you. Never in a million years did I ever think that I would be exactly where I'm at right now. But had I would not have taken that time just to trust that God had me, who knows where I would have been. Start manifesting the things that are in your heart. Start spending alone time, meditating, and figuring out what is your purpose on this earth. Because I'm sure that a lot of our purposes on this earth is not getting up and punching a clock. But we do need people to help our businesses run. So don't get it confused. Some people's purposes is to help other people's businesses grow. I can't run a successful business unless I have employees who are helping me, who are getting up and punching that clock. But don't get it wrong. You investing in yourself is you putting more time in yourself and in your business and in your passion and in your purpose than anybody ever could. Because at the end of the day, it is for you and not for anyone else. And let go of your fears, let go of your worries, and let go of the things that are holding you back. Because you're not doing anything but sabotaging yourself and your future goals and for the people who you can possibly benefit in the long run. Today, you need to take the step. Today's goals is to trust, follow, and let go. And I guarantee you, or your money back, that is going to be so much more better on the other side. You're only waiting on you. So do what it is that you need to do to get exactly where you need to be. God bless you. God loves you. I love you. Take care.